I know. Listen, it's been a second. It's been a minute. It actually might be getting close to a year. I don't think I've recorded an episode this year. Probably like October. I don't know. Listen, life. You know what I mean? The other channel, I got consumed watching movies, reacting. I think I overestimated what it would take to balance multiple channels at once. And this one just had to sit on the back burner. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. But I'm back. That's good, isn't it? I'm back. I don't know if I'm gonna take this video is gonna be in the format of Odd Thoughts. I guess I'm still gonna be using this channel mainly to just chat breeze about whatever I feel like. But I think I'm just gonna take a different approach. All right? But I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna try. Should we commit together? Let's say I'm gonna make a video once a month. Yeah? Yeah? Once a month, I will post on any topic I feel like. This is gonna be the place. Yeah? Yeah. Okay, now that we've gotten the pleasantries out of the way, I have something to talk about. No, I mean, I'm an Arsenal fan, so we complain anyway. And we hate everyone else that's not us anyway. That's off rip. But I don't even want to heavily contextualize everything I'm gonna say with Arsenal because I think this is really universal. I think this is something that's been brewing amongst football fans in general. And that is the decline of mainstream punditry. Your broadcast television punditry is in the absolute bin. It's in the gutter. Listen, yeah, I'm sure I'm not the only one. Maybe I am. But there was a period in my life where I genuinely couldn't operate. Like, I couldn't fathom a season of football where I would not be actively paying for some sort of subscription service because I wanted to hear some of the iconic voices that would commentate, that would punditate, that will pundalize on my football team and other people's football teams, etc. I would genuinely look forward to pre-game to hear what everyone's gonna say about this team, about that team. I would genuinely look forward to halftime. I'd go to the bathroom, come back and want to listen to what they're gonna say about what's happened so far. I would genuinely look forward to the post-game debrief. These are people and voices that I would revere and I would see as you've had so much experience, either in the game, sometimes not even in the game, not even having played, but you've been doing this for such a while that I trust that when you are saying something, it is that something. Like you've done this before, so you know what you're talking about. I barely even play football. I view it more than I watch it. When you're telling me there's this trust that was established that you are the authority or your voice is the authority, and so what you say, I should put a lot of stock in. I am telling you in today, 2025 Q3. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Today, yeah, I only have a Discovery Plus subscription, BT Sport, whatever you want to call it now. I only have that because it's part of my phone contract, yeah? I get it for free as part of my phone contract. If not, do you know what I mean? Even the Sky package, yeah, it's holding on by a thread. And if I have an option, I would choose to not, I won't want to, like, guys, I'm listening to games on mute. But sometimes there's an option where you can watch games with no commentary and just listen to the stadium audio as if you're there. Sometimes I'll select that option. If not, I will prefer to listen to the game on mute. Why? Because the commentary, the punditry, I want to specify, I'm talking about the punditry, less so on the commentary. I'm not talking about your Martin Tylers and your Peter Drury's. I'm not talking about them, man. I'm talking about the one that sits beside, well, sometimes the one that sits beside them, but also the guys in the studio that come and talk to us when the game's not active. The main commentator is there to be mostly impartial, mostly factual, but then the guy next to him is there to be like, to opine, to give opinions on things that are actually happening that are informed by his own experiences and his own information. I'm talking about the people in the mainstream that are paid to opine, to give opinions, whether that be during a game, at halftime, post game, whatever you have. Them, man, the state of whatever's going on there is in the actual, like, you know, if you're from, let me just speak for myself, Ghana, yeah? We have some serious gutters, not UK gutters where you see the when I say, I mean in the ground, it's in the floor. You can actually drop inside and your shoulders will be beneath the floor level. Like, I mean, it's in the floor, it's in the ground. And you know what? It feels like it feels like the people that I and many others used to put a lot of stock into, like they actually don't know what they're talking. It feels like they've been left behind somehow. These people are the people that we're hearing on a week-to-week basis, and sometimes it feels like they are stuck in their own era of football. Other times, it feels like they're trying to be football Twitter. Like they're trying to stay relevant, they're trying to stay with the times, and so they are almost they are mimicking an approach that finds itself successful for random accounts in Nigeria and India to get bare retweets and to have Twitter premium and get like a little bit of bread. It feels like the same approach from those stake accounts on Twitter from guys that are being paid millions. And I'm tired. And you would think that given all the additional resources that they have, the information they have access to, how many stats, like how much stats are available to us now that we just like, obviously when I was younger, I was never looking at football statistics and all them thing there. But the people that were even like older than me, like, I don't know, 15 years ago and were watching football, that stuff wasn't publicly available, let alone Sky, whoever, I don't know, everyone who's paying for all these resources to speak about what they're seeing with information. You have they have all these screens and pens, and they can rewind and draw lines on the screen. And yet with all of that, it feels like they've regressed. And I say regress intentionally because there was definitely a time where this punditry felt, there was a time where I would never say that I was listening to a game on mute if I wasn't going in person. Impossible. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear your opinions, not necessarily always agree, but take them. Even if I disagree, I still have I can find logic in why you are saying the things you're saying. In 2025, it's not the case. So obviously we all know the Premier League established in the early 90s, but a big part of that was the birth of Sky Sports, essentially. Like that wasn't just a deal to, centralize the broadcasting of the Premier League games. The day that Sky got involved with football, they also simultaneously became an official voice, a trusted source. When people are talking on Sky and it's football, you are taking them, as I mentioned earlier, you are the authority on everything, on all of this. If not the authority, you are the official voice. Let's put it that way. Like Sky came in and essentially defined how we consume, or they said, this is how you're gonna consume the football. We had the Super Sunday, we have the late Saturday kickoff, we have the big MNF under the light spectacle. All of that was shaped by Sky. Monday Night Football started with who? Two outlaws right now. Richard Keys and Andy Gray, yeah? Them guys back in the day were doing some serious analysis, yeah? With Sky Sports. And then they went and...
It was just banter.
Yeah, but if I'm not mistaken, it was back then that we were seeing them bring out the screen and doing little things. I think, like even before the Carragher and the Nevilles. But that was a real like long format, sit down, breakdown, discuss the actual things, the actual happenings on the football pitch. Shows that like I can remember outside of your match of the day, but of course match of the day is a very condensed show of a whole bunch of games, and so they could only give you this much analysis. And then of course later on, who do you get? You get Neville come through the door first, and then you get Carragher come through the door. And they took Monday Night Football to the moon. Their debates, their analysis, their personalities, but the analysis was still at the core. Do you know what I mean? Like I want to say it felt in those early days very academic. It felt like they were studying football games and we were watching them do that. That's what it felt like. And then on the other hand, like I've mentioned, you had your Super Sunday, the juggernaut. Unlike MNF, Super Sunday is dramatic. You've got the "You'll never stop this, I will never let you go." Everything moving, flashing, screen, panel. Everyone's wearing the suits. It's big. Everyone's shoes are shined for Super Sunday. I mean, even when I think about it, some of the most like iconic memes, moments, even if it's that's in like commentary, punditry, some of the studio moments. I think of Thierry Henry putting his leg on Carragher when, who was it? Someone left their job. Was it Brendan Rodgers? I think it was Brendan Rodgers. Some of the debates like I'd say probably 2010 to 2009, I'd say roughly 15. It feels like Sky Sports were like, it was unmissable. Everything. Monday Night Football, Super Sunday, it was all peak and I would not want to miss it. I come back. Today, 2025, I want no parts. I want no parts. And the reason I want no parts is it feels like there has been, it's a choice. It feels like an intentional choice to pivot away from analysis and move to structure everything around the voices themselves, the personalities, those people, rather than the actual game of football that is being watched. And when I say prioritize the personalities and the voices, I also include in this the managers as personalities, the players as individuals outside of the pitch. Everything is so, it's attached to the individual. Like there almost seems no or very little watch the game and just tell me what you're seeing. Everything feels driven about who the person is that you're talking about and the person who's speaking themselves. It feels like today you can watch many a game of football and they might fling some stats up in the corners of the screen, but it feels like for so many pundits, they already have the storylines that they want to push and put out, and the narratives they have already decided pre-game are the talking points. And no matter what the actual game turns into, they are going to continue. They're going to make sure you hear what they have to say, because I'm the thing that's being sold here. Like I'm the product, not the game of football itself. Me, my voice, you will hear what I have to say. I will try to put my take into the ether, into the atmosphere, and you will know it's me and my voice that did this. Do you know what I mean? Jamie Carragher. He's an interesting one. I think Carragher is genuinely one of the few actual like standout voices in football that actually talk about what's going on in a game of football, like actual analysis about the tactics. He's still up there. I should also say he has the platform to do so, but he feels like one of the few that actually takes time to be informed about everything that's going on. I can tell that Jamie Carragher watches, it feels like every single game of football before he actually goes and speaks. And so it feels like on a Monday, when you're getting Jamie Carragher paired with, usually not Gary Neville actually on a Monday, it's usually someone else. So this season we've already had Thierry Henry, and they actually look at the all of that, that's good stuff. Even when you see Carragher on CBS, don't ask me how I'm watching. The clips that they'll post on like Twitter and YouTube, there's a balance with them four. Do you know what I mean? It's not dead center, dead straight, hard analysis. But as a group, they are absolutely able to do that stuff, and they do that stuff. Take away Jamie Carragher's access to a tactical board and just like give him a Sky badge, and it's not a Monday, and he just turns into something else. I almost feel like sometimes with Carragher, I'm watching two different people. On a Monday, he makes me feel like a Sky package is worth it. On any other day of the week, I am not trying to hear from Jamie Carragher. Not on Twitter, not on a Super Sunday, not on the overlap. Miss me. It feels like when Carragher's not talking about the tactical side of the game, and he's not doing the comedy, not doing a bit, he's not misspeaking.
And I'm loyal.
Nice. Not to Malik.
What? Why would you even say that?
Sorry?
It feels like some of the stuff he says are, it's like back page headline driven comments. And it's ironic because he actually does write. He has a column in the Times. And even there, he tends to do less, it's less about, tactics, and it's more narrative, storyline. And that is just when I'm like, just miss me, Carragher. Like, just stop. But even with Carragher, I can tolerate. I can take it because he's giving me something else. The criminal in all of this, Gary Neville. What on earth happened? It feels like a serious fall from grace. Like, let's think about it. Gary Neville actually joined Sky first. He was on Monday Night Football, all the things first. I think he came like a year, maybe 2 years before Carragher. He was there in his oversized suits, doing all the tactics. I can envisage Gary Neville in my head, in front of the board, with his hand like this as he's talking and breaking down the stats. He's got the pen and he's like talking. I can see him in my head doing that with his oversized suit. Like he actually had a head start. And he was doing all the things that I'm complimenting Carragher for doing when he's doing like tactical breakdowns. He was among. And then you see Gary Neville now, and I feel like it's a few things. One thing that like was dropped into my spirit. I don't know the man, I don't know anything about him in detail. I only know what he's given to us in the public sphere. And it feels like his time at Valencia really scarred him and maybe changed the way he views football. Prior to that, it feels like he clearly was going down the coaching route. We saw him in Valencia, but also he was in the England setup. And whilst you're doing that and you're studying, I think he was very willing to be academic about how he views and be academic in the way he talks about football. It almost feels like with all that he learned being on Monday Night Football on Sky and studying and doing all the coaching, and he went to Valencia and it was as bad as it was, it feels like his approach to football since then has been almost a rejection of all of that because it didn't serve him at the time when he actually went into coaching. And so rather than doing all the tactical breakdown things, because none of that worked for him, he's just moved into creating stories about football, just saying narratives. And I want to be clear, stories literally do make football, but the stories should come from the pitch itself. That is what is so great about the main commentators, the Martin Tylers, the Peter Durys, the Clives, all of them. They are able to articulate the drama of whatever's happening on the pitch in quite a beautiful way. It genuinely feels like these guys come in. I mean, here's the thing with Neville. He has said publicly, not once, probably about 2 times, he said that he does not watch as much football anymore. And it's so, he didn't have to tell anyone that. If Gary Neville is commentating on your club, on a live game, a selected game, it is so evident that the man has not watched your football. Unless those games too have been selected, he's not watching. He's not studying. He's not doing any of that. He will come into a game and your football team is playing and he's talking about like a story that is about your club that is either expired or like something that's happening on the pitch, like a change, and he seems shocked about it, but it's something that's happened like a few months ago, and you're like, you're being paid a lot. Why are you not informed? There was times in the back half of last season that he was I can't remember the game he was commentating on, but he brought up Palmer, and it was evident that he had not seen Palmer in the last half of last season because Palmer's numbers and his overall game had dropped off a bit. It had dropped off, but you could tell by the way Gary Neville was commentating that he thought it was still January or like December. Like, you want to ask, like, are you new to this? I'm not saying this to slight Palmer, by the way. I'm like, where have you been? On the overlap, or you know, the man had the hotel of like football hotel. I don't even know if that's still around. He's very evidently occupied with so much more than football. He's a whole businessman. But if you're going to be doing 75 other things and you don't have time to watch football, or you don't want to, please surrender the microphone to someone else. I beg of you, surrender it. I just digged out Cole Palmer a bit, so let me give Chelsea a bit of prop. That was it FA Cup or Carabao? I think it was a Carabao final with Liverpool. And then he came in with that line.
In extra time, it's been clutch kids against the blue £1 billion bottle jobs.
Why? Like, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed laughing at that line because I'm a football fan and Chelsea fans are my ops. That's my opposition. I don't like them guys. However, that is something to be said on football Twitter by accounts sponsored by Stake because they need to get retweets. Yeah? They have a light bill to pay. They need retweets. That is where I expect to hear that kind of commentary. On the main, where was that? Was it even at Sky? It might have been ITV. Why are you, Gary Neville, creating such a headline? Like, it felt tacky. It felt, I want to say unprofessional. I can't remember if he said he regrets it, but it's not his first time. That was a very obvious case, but he does things like that all the time. With the money that people are paying for these packages, not just Sky, whoever you want to say, and how expensive it is to watch football these days, please be informed. Please talk about the actual game that we're watching. I beg. Is that too much? Am I being ridiculous? The other factor that just cannot be skipped past, and I've already hinted at it, is that Neville, sometimes Carragher, many times a lot of other names, are very clearly looking to replicate what is successful about fan commentary right now. On one hand, I don't blame them. On the other hand, you are professionals. You are ex-professional footballers, but you are professionals in the punditry business. The reactionary, personality-driven, sensationalist approach, that is how you build a YouTube channel. That's how you build a Twitter account with 100K plus followers. Absolutely. It's gonna make you money if you do it well. It's the foundation of your accounts, your Mark Goldbridge, your Robbie Lyles, AFTV, DRTV, all the fan channels that are the biggest. That is what has worked for them. Absolutely. And you know, it's ironic because thinking about Gary Neville, he actually has beef with Mark Goldbridge. And I can't even remember what that's based on. But my point is, if I want that, I know where to go. And I'm very conscious that I'm not going to someone who's a professional. I'm going there for entertainment. Do you know what I mean? When opposition fans go to AFTV, especially during the foundation of AFTV, they were going there to laugh. They were going there because they knew they were going to get entertainment out of Arsenal's suffering. They were going to get people who were going to be extremely reactionary, saying wild things that when you go back don't actually hold up that much. But in the moment, it gives the channel views and it gives many entertainment. Is that what we're doing? Is that what you want from me when I'm watching an actual game of football live? On the actual TV? On the authoritative channel? Sky? TNT? Who else is there? But yeah, Monday Night Football seems to be the only one actually sticking to football. Everything else seems to be trying to pull from what is booming online. And like I said, I understand why. I understand the why. I just don't think it's very well thought out long term. Because people like me, I enjoy football and I enjoy more than football. I like the narratives, but I also like the analysis. I now know, after years now of being aggravated by mainstream commentary, I now know where to go to get what I want. There are many accounts on YouTube. Like, we're in the digital age. It's easy to find what you want to find. If you want the deeper, more tactical analysis, you've got the TIFO guys on YouTube. You've got James Lawrence Alcott. There's a channel that I recently found. I'll put that somewhere. If you want it in written formats, there's many people on Substack. On Twitter, you've got your Twitter tacticals. If you want your fan channels where people are just shouting and screaming, you've got that. If you want to go and see people pretend like they're angry when their team concedes on YouTube, you can go there. We are in a digital age. I don't have to watch you. And mind you, with that said, there are many people who know exactly how to watch football outside of what you're providing. So you're putting the prices up, the quality's gone down, access to football has increased because internet. What is the long-term ramification? To round this up, I think football has always been about stories. So for me, narratives aren't the problem. Rivalries, redemption stories, heroes in football, villains in football. That's what gives football the texture that a lot of sports don't have. Something about football innately brings out those stories. But listen to me, innately, you don't even need a Peter Drury to be as verbose and poetic for you to understand and for you to get emotional about a game of football. So if I don't even need Peter Drury, what makes his co-commentator or the guys in the studio think I need them and their imposed, inorganic views about my team, about other teams on a good Sunday at 4:30? The live rights are going to stay with all the big players. They're not going anywhere. Well, for now, because if that Super League rears its head back, if streaming services get active, there will be problems. But for now, they're not going anywhere. But fans, more than ever, have increased access to every type of additional content around football, as well as the matches themselves, legally or illegally, I'm afraid. So it's up to the big boys, whether they're going to double down on this banter era and go outside. I mean, they're going to make their bread one way or another. But ultimately, what I think the big cost is the general public losing their trust in Sky Sports as an official voice in football. I've basically lost it already, many others too, and there are now many other places for people to fill the void. Deuces.